Resident Evil Requiem is going to land real soon. We're digging into everything here.
Here we finally are.
To find out what's the same, but more importantly, what has changed. We've already talked about 10 things you need to know. If you're interested, have a look. We're going to try not to repeat ourselves, but all right, folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, we're talking about the 10 biggest changes in Resident Evil Requiem. Starting off at number 10, it's 2 games in one, more or less. The gameplay loop of Requiem is different from past entries. We've seen there's 2 playable protagonists, each with their preferred camera, first person for Grace and third person for Leon. You can swap these angles at any time, but there's reasons, and this is a pretty big change for previous games. We've had games with multiple protagonists, and they generally accommodate cooperative gameplay. This game is not co-op, though. It does swap perspectives, though. You play a section with Grace, then Leon, then so on and so forth. It means this game follows a little bit more of a linear progression. Looking at the trailers, we can see that it is expansive, though. The producers talk about Resident Evil 2 style gameplay, but there's a big difference. It's really obvious. The game is not set in a single location like Resident Evil 1, 2, and even 7 and 8. It has that Resident Evil 4-like structure with distinct chapters. The remake of that game did a really good job combining the exploration of previous games while also still having linear levels. 9 looks to have that same structure. There's distinct mini areas like the mansion or police station we'll get to explore as both Leon or Grace. The designers have described the gameplay loop in comparison to Resident Evil Revelations, with about equal time given to both characters. Capcom says it's like playing 2 completely different games back to back, with Grace serving up terror while Leon is kind of a release valve. And that leads us to our next point, which we'll get to in just a second. I'm going to quickly ask that you enable notifications. We have some people say that our videos aren't going out to everybody. Probably the best way to deal with that is enabling notifications. So if you do that, it's doing us a big favor. We appreciate it massively, and we hope it helps you see some stuff you want to see. Thanks a lot for enabling notifications. Let's get back to what I was saying. At number 9, Leon can kill zombies that Grace leaves behind. Sometimes Leon will go to areas that Grace has already explored. The developers revealed that Leon can wipe out any zombies left behind by Grace, and it's designed to be as cathartic as that sounds. Easily stomping the zombies that gave you so much grief in a previous chapter sounds like a lot of fun, and shows just how wildly different these 2 characters' gameplay styles are. Leon plays like the Resident Evil 4 remake, and Grace plays like Resident Evil 7. She's sneaking around, avoiding monsters with limited ammo, and, well, he's stomping around like the badass he is. Stalkers that can't be killed from Resident Evil 7 and 8 are also making a return, like a mini Nemesis or Mr. X. You can slow them down with bullets, run and hide. Grace is especially vulnerable to these creatures, and there's multiple of them in the area of Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center, one of the major locations you'll be running around early in the game. Stalkers are a different kind of encounter for Leon, and that's the next point. And number 8, stalkers are boss fights for Leon. Unkillable stalkers for Grace are killable for Leon. There's 3 separate, very powerful creatures we've seen so far in Resident Evil 9 that Grace will have to sneak or run away from to survive, and that's part of her experience. She's a regular human in the world of Resident Evil 9, but Leon has since become a fast-talking superhero, more or less. Psychos armed with chainsaws are Leon's first enemies. He doesn't run from stalkers, he fights them. Trailers show Leon taking out the giant woman stalker chasing Grace with a few bullets. Obviously, that thing's coming back for round 2, and a later stalker called Chunk that blocks entire hallways is fodder for Leon's axe. These stalkers have new mechanics to freshen up the run and hide gameplay. The tall woman stalker with the glazed over eyes crawls into ceiling tiles to ambush you later. It can be avoided by staying in the light too. Does not like the light. Later enemy called Chunk is literally a wall of meat that breaks through walls to chase you down, blocking entire pathways. Each stalker has a different gameplay gimmick that you're going to have to take advantage of to survive as Grace, or just beat them up with Leon's cool martial arts kicks, or both. You probably have to do both. And number 7 is ADS and flashlights. Here's a tiny, funny detail we noticed as complete Resident Evil obsessives. Grace actually aims down her sights while shooting in this game. Ethan Winters never actually aimed in his games. Holding the aim button made him lift the gun, and we got to steady or zoom in, but this might be the first game in the series where the characters actually aim while in first person. It probably doesn't matter. It's just a funny detail that matters to us, personally. Speaking of tiny details, though, we noticed that the flashlight's finally an inventory item. Flashlight's obviously staple in Resident Evil games. Everyone's got a flashlight, but these games, since Resident Evil 7, have automatic flashlights that turn on whenever you're in the dark. They weren't inventory items. You couldn't control them or how you used them. Resident Evil 9 completely revamped the lighting system for the Resident Evil engine, so using the flashlight whenever you want must have gameplay implications, like are there zombies alerted by light and sound? The giant stalker lady we discussed earlier is stunned by bright lights. Is the flashlight useful as a weapon for Grace with her? Very possible. We don't have any idea, obviously, but getting a flashlight as a weapon, or at least in a weapon slot, I guess. It's new, so it must serve a purpose, right? And while we're looking at the inventory menu, there is another thing we noticed. And number 6, there are 2 different inventories. Grace and Leon don't just have different gameplay styles, their inventory management systems seem like they're from different games. Grace has a small inventory menu similar to Resident Evil 7 and 8. You can craft bullets, assign weapons, different quick select. Leon is similar, but very different. His attached case from Resident Evil 4 is here. Transplanted in full, weapons take up space. You'll need to manage what fits where. I could not be happier with this arrangement. I'm guessing, like in Resident Evil 4 Remake, Leon can auto-sort his stuff for easier management, or you can carefully move everything around exactly how you like it. Like, think about it. They built out systems by making Resident Evil 7, Village, and 4's Remake to do Leon, first person, and then they added third person to that mode. So you literally have a code base to make this game. It's important to mention that item boxes are back. Whether this is a Grace-only function, I can't really tell you. But crafting also returns. Combining items like scrap and a new zombie blood resource, you can create bullets or other useful items. One of those is essential for something else we've realized in the game, that stealth. Yeah, I'll just tell you in the next point. At number 5, though, there's something new here. Stealth actually matters. Crouching is a concept that was only introduced for the first time in Resident Evil 7. But as fun as that game is, stealth didn't really matter. Stealth has never been that important. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, Leon could crouch and pull off stealth kills, but it just didn't matter for long. You'd always get caught eventually, but that changes with Grace. In the early game, avoiding enemies is important for her survival. You get new tools for stealth. Grace can collect bottles to distract stalkers or lure away zombies. She can also perform limited stealth kills. There's a new item called the hemolytic injector. By collecting zombie blood from defeated enemies, you can collect vials that can be combined into bullets or into these injectors. You just stab them, and it insta-kills with these bloody explosions. Another way to do stealth is taking advantage of the undead. Zombies have memories of their pasts in this game. Limited, of course, but a zombie that won't stop playing around with elevator keys, you can press buttons and mess with them. Some zombies react to sound, they'll yell. Others will mess with light switches constantly. Zombies are a little more unpredictable, and shooting a zombie might cause it to transform into a blister head. Avoiding enemies is important again. Grace can't kill everything she sees, at least from what we've played so far, and that's a pretty big change from past games. And number 4, Leon and Grace both get special weapons. The 2 characters, and each one gets special weapons. Trailers show Leon getting his own chainsaw and taking out a rampaging zombie. That's a big deal, but it's not the only tool in your arsenal that's absurd and over the top. Apparently, you can also get an axe, which it gives you more possibilities for melee damage. He can parry attacks, like in Resident Evil 4, counter zombies trying to bite his face off. Other early players have reported that Leon gets to throw the axe, too. We don't know if that's a special animation or an extra function, though. We do know that Leon will need to manually sharpen the axe to get the most out of it, though. Grace is actually not a large character. She's a fairly small character, but she gets the biggest gun in the game. The Requiem is a unique magnum revolver with limited ammo and an extreme kick. It's for emergencies only, and it's a break in RE tradition, because Grace gets it pretty early in the game. This gun explodes zombies in a single hit. It explodes multiple zombies in a single hit. Might I expand that a bit with anything in its path is just vaporized. It leaves behind some gore that you can inject for extra zombie blood. It has an alternate trait of being so powerful it prevents zombies from mutating into blister heads, which is obviously useful. It also seems like the right weapon for Grace to slow down Stalker. He uses bullets like a mini RPG. And number 3 is a different kind of zombie. Zombies are back in Resident Evil 9. They've got a few changes. We've already talked about how they can retain parts of their own life. Chef works in a kitchen. Janitor continues to clean. Stuff like that's pretty common. What makes zombies really different in combat is how they mutate. Blood is a resource, and that's also how that changes. Once you defeat a normal zombie, there's a chance its head will grow blood bubbles and start attacking wildly. If it's anything like any other Resident Evil games, you can probably expect multiple different types of mutation revealed later on, like there were 4 in Resident Evil 4 after defeating enemies. This feature also, it's similar to the Crimson Head zombies in the Resident Evil 1 remake. In that game, Crimson Head zombies would spawn if you didn't burn zombie bodies. The Blister Heads seem like a similar mechanic. You are able to stop zombie mutation with Grace using the hemolytic injectors that we talked about, and Leon probably just stomps them or axes them. Like, he kind of just knocks crap around. It is a new twist on a concept we've seen before, but what makes it interesting is how these mutated zombies represent a totally different threat. To Leon, they're a slightly harder challenge than normal zombies, but to Grace, they're an existential threat. We've already seen at least one other type, the giant blister-covered mutant with glowing orange orbs, which are probably its weak point. Gotta love a huge, clearly visible weak point in a Resident Evil game. And number 2, apparently there might be vehicles. Like, there might be larger open world-ish levels, like maybe open zone-y type situation going. It's speculation, but I'm pretty easy to imagine a larger level set in the ruins of Raccoon City in the style of Chapter 4 in the Resident Evil 4 remake, where Leon's given free reign to explore a larger map full of optional encounters and other treasures. We also know for a fact that Capcom is collaborating with Porsche to give Leon a totally unique ride. In this game, Leon drives a Cayenne Turbo GT that's customized specifically for this game. Real cars like this don't usually get destroyed in games, but who knows? Maybe that's why it's a custom model. There have been open levels and vehicles in Resident Evil games before, so this rumor isn't as insane as it sounds. The latest trailer before release shows Leon fighting zombies in a large city street where crowds of people run away, probably a scripted linear sequence, but we'll find out exactly how expansive this game is when it drops February 27th. And finally, at number 1, return to the original story. The last thing we need to talk about is probably one of the biggest changes. Instead of ignoring the past, it's embracing the story the first 6 games in a pretty big way. Returning Leon as the protagonist, that's the most obvious. But even Grace is connected to the old game. She's the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, the character from Resident Evil Outbreak, which is a series of online cooperative horror games. That's a deep cut to pull, but it goes deeper than that. We're revisiting the nuked ruins of Raccoon City, returning to the police station from the second game, and the story goes deep with Umbrella Corporation stuff, plot point that was essentially dropped after Code Veronica. Returning to the overarching plot of Resident Evil is a big change, and we won't be surprised if at least one other major character from the series' original games returns. The developers say it doesn't require deep knowledge of the previous games, but they've always said that, and it never doesn't help. We still have a lot more questions about Requiem. The series is packed with plot, cul-de-sacs, and dead ends. Will we ever get an explanation for whatever the hell Blue Umbrella was? Or how about the evil BSAA that appears at the end of Resident Evil Village? Biggest question of all, how will Capcom remake Resident Evil 5? How will they change that to make everything right? There's a lot to change about that game to make it right. Not that it's like bad. It's got a lot of flawed ideas in it, though. Both gameplay and narrative. Whatever does happen next, we're super easy to see it. And we're super excited to play Resident Evil Requiem when we finally get it in a few weeks. That's all for today. What do you think? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. We've passed 1,000 people in the 1% Club. We're totally psyched. Become a member. That gets you the exclusive Falcon show every Saturday. We're having a blast with that. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.